Today we're making small batch razzleberry pie, or some people call it triple berry pie. It's a combination of blackberries, raspberries, and blueberries, and it is sandwiched between two flaky pie crusts. Join me in the kitchen as we make small batch recipes with big taste. Years ago, there was a Marie Callender's pie shop about a mile or so from my home, and my favorite pie to get there was what we're making today, razzleberry pie. That pie shop is no longer there, but that's okay because I can make it at home. So for our pie today, we're going to use my trusty little 5-inch pie tins. And there is a link in the description of this video where you can purchase the pie tins. They're the perfect size. So razzleberry pie, or as it's called sometimes, triple berry pie. So the 3 berries we're going to use today are a cup of raspberries, a cup of blueberries, and a cup of blackberries. Now, of course, you can play around with this combination of berries and use whatever you have on hand, what's growing in your garden, what you pick up at the farmer's market or the grocery store. In addition to the berries, we're going to add just a pinch of salt. We're going to squeeze in about just a half to a teaspoon of fresh lemon juice. It just helps to pop the flavor. And then if you get seeds in like I just did, go ahead and take them out. We're going to use a 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of sugar. And then we're going to use 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Now this cornstarch is going to act as our thickener. As these berries bake, they're going to release juices and get delicious, but they can get a little runny. So this cornstarch is going to help that not to happen, to help them set up a little bit. Let me see, there's my spoon. Then we're just going to mix this together just kind of gently. You don't want to pulverize or smash down those berries. You just want them all coated in that sugar and cornstarch mixture. Then we're going to take this mixture, we're just going to take a medium saucepan and go ahead and put that berry mixture in there. Then we are going to just put it over a medium-high heat, stir it till the berries start to break down, they get nice and juicy and bubbly, and it starts to thicken up. Once your berries are cooked down to the way you want, we are going to go ahead and let this cool down. It doesn't have to be perfectly cool, you just don't want it boiling hot when you put it into your pie crust. So I'm actually going to stick mine in the refrigerator to help speed up the cooling process. So while that is cooling, we're going to do our pie crust. Now you have 2 choices. You can make a homemade pie crust, which of course is the best, and I'm going to link to my favorite pie crust recipe down below. Or if it's a busy day and you don't have time, I'm going to use some store-bought pie crust that I had in my freezer. And you are going to need a double crust, and the recipe on my blog is for a double crust because you need 2. You'll get 2 out of each pie crust recipe, and you need 2 for the bottom and 2 for the top. So we're just going to go ahead and put a little flour on our counter and unroll that pie crust. Now we need to make it a little bigger than it comes, so I'm going to grab my rolling pin, and we are just going to roll that pie crust out. So it's maybe a 1/2 inch to 1 inch bigger all the way around. And I'm going to place it upside down on my pie dough, leaving about, I don't know, it's about 3/4 of an inch around the edge. And we're going to take it and just lay it right inside of our pie tin, and the edges are going to overlap the edge. And then we're going to do the same thing. And I may need to just roll this just a bit. You're going to have some pie crust left over. My favorite thing to do with that is to make what we call pie fries at our house. That recipe is on my blog, and I will link to it down below. We're going to take this next tin and do the same thing. Just cut around it. Now, if you don't know what pie fries are, you cover them with a little butter, a little cinnamon sugar. You just cut them into strips. So good. All right. Then we're going to just pop that down in to our pan. And go ahead and just let that edge hang out there for right now. We're going to press the 2 pie crust layers together once we have the filling in. So what we have to do now is just, this is going to be our top crust. So we're just going to repeat the process. All right, these we're just going to set aside just in a slightly floured area so they don't stick. And then put this one back in. And then we are ready to add our cooled pie filling. Now I have let my filling cool. It's not totally cool. If you need to make this pie ahead of time, you can totally make the filling the day ahead of time and let it just in an airtight container in the refrigerator. Just know that if you're putting the filling into your pie cold, it's going to take a little bit longer to bake because it's got to heat through that. So when the filling is warm, it will cook a little bit faster. So go ahead and divide, and you'll see how it's thickened up. It's kind of like a jam consistency, I would say. All right, get a spatula, get it all out. Don't want to leave any of that behind. I'm going to take those 2 pie crusts that we had cut, and we're just going to place that right over, centered over the top. And then what you want to do is you want to just kind of bring your pie crust together, kind of smoosh them together. You're forming a lip or a ridge all the way around the pie. So can you see that little ridge lip that we've formed around there? Okay, we're gonna do that on both pies. So that's sealing the pie crust along the edges so none of that filling can escape out of the sides. I kind of take it and almost turn it under a bit and then smush it together. Smush, it's such a technical term. All right, and then I kind of like to just take it and flatten it. All right, then you're going to take the pinch method. We're going to make a fluted edge. We're just going to take these 2 fingers, our thumb and our pointer finger, and then our index finger on the other hand, and just so it's index finger. Is that the index finger? Yeah. And bring it together and just cause a little ruffled, fluted edge around our pie. Just makes it look a little prettier. All right, do that to both of them. We are going to bake this in a 375-degree Fahrenheit oven for, again, depending on if your filling is hot or cold, really only about 20-25 minutes, maybe 30 at the most. And if you find that your crust is browning a little too fast, because you want to have the filling nice and hot and bubbly. So if it's browning too fast, just go ahead and place a piece of foil over the top, and that will help it from getting too brown. Now we need to put a little venting hole in here, so I'm just going to take a sharp knife and cut in it 3 little slices, just like that. Now you're going to get some berry juice escaping out of those over the top of the crust, but totally okay. And then one more little trick to make it a little bit prettier pie, to give that pie, you've seen the pies in the bakery, they have this beautiful golden brown crust. Well, you're just going to take a little bit of egg. I've just beaten the egg up here over the surface of the pie and on the edges where I've crimped it. Try to get a nice even layer. I'll even put a little on the outside. This egg is going to then create this beautiful, beautiful golden brown crust, and it's going to be so impressive. Another little trick, I'm just full of tricks today. To make these mini pies easier to get in and out of the oven, I just like to take a cookie sheet and put them both on the cookie sheet. All right, so there you go. We're going to put them into the oven, and we'll be back. All right, our raspberry pie is out of the oven. Smells amazing. It is nice and warm and ready to eat. Now, this is our first summer in Utah, and I have to tell you, I'm totally missing my Oregon berries, but this is a pretty good way to satisfy that craving for berries. Summertime is definitely the best time to enjoy this raspberry pie, when you can get lots of fresh berries, but you can totally use frozen berries too. So grab a fork and dig in. Now, if you're looking for some other small batch pie recipes, make sure you check out my other ones down below, and I'll see you in the next video.